Yeah, it's going to be a nice, relaxing evening, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths and whatever the hell you guys want. I did put in the chat, though, beware there be spoilers, because we're going to talk about all three chapters. We're mainly going to focus on the third chapter, but we will be dipping into all of it. And if you have not seen Crisis, I absolutely recommend this. It is such a good movie. Now, here's the thing, though. When I saw the first episode, the first chapter, the first time, I was like, "The freaking hell is all this Amazo shit? Get to the story," because it does not follow the book. It follows story beats. Like they have to get the towers out, stop the shadow creatures, same as in the book. They do the towers to stop the wave and all that kind of stuff. They try. What I did like is the comic book, if you look at it, has every character that has appeared in anything owned by DC Comics in that miniseries, and they did the same thing here. Every character that's appeared in any of the animated series was in this movie or in this trilogy, and I loved it. I love the fact that they did that because it's a great homage to the original works. Also, I got it. This is a what do you call it when you put it up there? This you have to understand this as
disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Thank you. I love the book. I understand the book is the book. So even though I did get a little ticked because they weren't doing the story. I mean, it wasn't that they weren't doing the book. The book. They weren't doing the story for the first like 20 minutes of the first movie. So I was like, what the is this? You know, I mean, I am A-OK. You cannot ruin the book. People say that all the time. Well, that movie ruins the book. No, it isn't. It's on my shelf.
What did they use Amazo in place of the Spectre or something?
No. Here's what happens. We get this bit. It's focused on the Flash. The first movie is focused on the Flash. Second movie is focused on Psycho Pirate. Third movie is everybody. But the first movie, what's happening is the Flash is going through time. Now, if you remember, in the book, that actually is happening. People are like, wait, that's the Flash, and he's giving these cryptic messages, and then he disappears. And that is actually happening. The Flash is going all over time and everything. And every time they get to the scene where you see all the Justice League members, it's something to do with Amazo. That actually comes to play at the end. Now, the first time, I guess I was butthurt, so I wasn't really paying attention, and I thought, this is a freaking total disconnect. Second time I watched it, and I did rewatch it for this, no, it's not a disconnect at all. All that time they spent with Amazo is so at the end, you actually give a shit, because they really do tie it right back around. Go on ahead, RDV.
If you watch the Apocalypse War, and how depressing it was, you know, it ties into that.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought I was like, is this kind of standalone? Then we also had the War World one, which was just previous. They're tied these up. It's great how they tied together.
We come to find out that every movie since Dark Apocalypse on was a setup for Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, there's that.
Okay, that's the right way to do it.
So, even the Constantine House of Mystery tied in.
Yep, everything has been leading up to Crisis on Infinite Earths. They didn't tell you, but that actually happened in the books, because you would have Teen Titans on an adventure, and then there would be a panel or two of this guy who says something cryptic, and then they move on. And then he shows up in Hawkman, and he shows up in Hawk and Dove, and all sorts of 1980s stories.
And again until
until it's Crisis time, and that's what happened here. All of the movies from Dark Apocalypse up was leading to it. Now, one thing they really do is they make sure that you are giving a about these characters. This is a good 4 hours, 50 minutes, maybe 6 hours worth of animated film that is filled with character, and they nailed it. Now it's got the geek moments too, because like, oh, that's Batlash. There's the two guys. Oh, they've got the inferior fucking five. You know, that kind of thing. I don't think they actually have, but you get the point. You know, you can do that part.
continuity do they go though? Do they just start at the Dark Apocalypse thing, or do they go back into the DC animated universe? Because you mentioned Amazo, and my first thought was, okay, how are they using him?
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Remember,
Yeah, because the longer the movie gets, like in chapter 1, it is really just talking about stuff that happened in the movies, and then in the second half you go a little bit further back, and then the third it's like, hi guys, we're open.
Like, the first movie is about Barry. Barry's like, what's going on? He's here 1 minute, then he's here the next. He doesn't know what's going on. Second movie, we're introduced to Kara and her stories ever since we had Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes. Everything that's on there, and we get an origin story of her relationship with the Monitor. Introduced a Psycho Pirate and his character, and then at the end, it ties in more with Barry as well, as they learn how to, I guess, make Earth's intelligible so that when a crisis wave hits, it doesn't hit the Earths. That's the first 2 movies. Third movie is that, now they have the anti-Monitor. It's just got the point where it was just like everything they we get a moment of peace, and then shit happens. Lex Luthor. It's just great. People. So
you get that.
Like I said, they build these characters out to the point where you care about every single character, even if they're only for like a couple of minutes. But then you see that Christ Wave Earth, and it's just like these people, these heroes, and like they know they're so defeated at this point, and some of them, just like the Earth 3, they're like, we're gonna take on this crisis wave. We don't know what the hell it is, but we're gonna do what we do best: go down fighting.
Well, that was one thing I liked in the first one. They're all in the Monitor ship and everything, and they get shown what happened to Crime World, the crime syndicate in their world. And Batman looks around and he goes, well, wait a second. And he realizes what everybody's skill is. He speaks up and he goes, okay, we've got the brains. We got the brawn. We want the brains to think of something. We want the brawn to build it. We got our thinkers. We got our engineers. Go. And so they see the problem and they come up with the tuning forks. You see it's actually in the books here, gang.
So they do actually have the cosmic tuning forks.
Yeah. Yep. And so they get to building them. And now this is the first chapter. The first chapter is identifying the threat. Okay. So, it gets to the point where the big thing is can they build these before the big wave hits? It's an excellent freaking, the end of it it's such a great climax. I actually didn't hit it the first time. I was like, what the fuck is this? The second time I was like, oh, okay. And then the second episode, second chapter is all about this is the problem, and it gets darker. And you have, instead of the character Harbinger, which is, let me see if I can't, she's all over the thing. Why can't I find her? Instead of Harbinger, right here, this character, you get Supergirl as Harbinger in this one. And instead of Pariah, which is this character right here, it's John Constantine.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does, because this ties in. We're going to talk about that in the third chapter. So we see them, and it's really about, this is the battle. We're in the battle. Let's stop. And it's all about, first of all, you get the Psycho Pirate story, because he plays a big part in the second chapter. And then you get, of course, Supergirl. And you get her story as well. And all of this is tying in as they are trying to stop the Anti-Monitor from, or stop the waves from destroying other planets and such. Go on ahead, RDV. You look like Seth.
I mean, with the whole Justice League War World, I thought it was such a pointless movie until you see the old man appears before Batman in there. And he's like, and he has no idea who this guy is, but he's like, go back to the beginning, and he's like, what the? So you've known me when you're watching the movie. It's like I was like,
okay, hold on. I'm gonna say this, Tevia. The more you speak, the less intelligent about the subject you become. Let me explain. You mentioned they wasted the crime syndicate. Okay, let me see if I can't find the page that they're in the original story. The crime syndicate actually does exactly what they did in the book. They were there for one page. They're not thinkers. They aren't thinking about, oh, this is how we need to stop it. All they know is how to punch things. So their entire involvement in the story is exactly what happens. The only difference is Lex Luthor's alive. But that is what exactly happens in the book. He shows up on their world. They can't do anything. They die.
But I love what Barry's like. What do you like? Oh man, he's like, well, I'm gonna go with our teammates. I'm gonna fight this. You know, he's like, he pulls the Michael Keaton thing, flies into. This, and I love because you're Barry Allen. He's my least favorite Flash, but you get the sense that he wanted to save these people. He really has no connection, but he didn't want to watch them die. He did everything he could, and you get a sense of Barry for that first movie. He is so helpless. He's seeing this, and then he appears in the future, and then he's in the back. He keeps popping around. Then finally, he's just like, and he's like, I'm blacking out. He's telling Iris, you know, it's like I can't. I'm going crazy. Until you figure out exactly what's going on. The second movie with the Harbinger, learning about Supergirl, was very essential. I said the also world building is, or not more world building, but more character development for a lot of the other characters, especially Supergirl and the Monitor, learning more about his intentions. Psycho Pirate, I said normally a character I care about, but he is a villain, so you expect him to basically like, you know what, if I help you out, you know. I maybe he'll just make the silence go away because this guy is traumatized. He feels all the emotions. Why would you not want to off yourself?
Yeah. The thing is, I had to comment on Tevye because Tevye, everything ties in together. Everything is there. The really good thing about this trilogy of movies is that all the information you need is there and everything ties to everything else. Yeah. And maybe it's because I didn't just watch each individual. When we decided to do this, I watched them back to back as well.
They didn't waste Barry Allen's death. It's important to the whole entire movie.
Absolutely. His death was not a waste at all.
Yeah, it should have been permanent.
Is being pulled to all these places. He sounds more like Pariah's part in the comic. No, that actually, once again, Pariah is Hellblazer. But if you go to the source material, here's where he meets up with the Joker and the Batman. That's the Flash dissolving right in front. He shows up, says something cryptic, and then he just dissolves. And he does that in multiple scenes, and that's what is represented in him doing the time traveling and such. So, god damn, this movie was so good.
I'm gonna have to give these a watch. I might do that over the weekend on HBO.
That's kind of how I've been referring to it. Now that they're all out, it's kind of like, does anybody go, well, you know, I think I'm gonna watch Lord of the Rings 2 Towers. Now you go, I'm gonna watch Lord of the Rings. Now it's all out.
You got to do the whole thing. You don't pick it up.
You watch the whole thing. You watch the whole thing. That's actually how I've been referring to.
Fellowship is the only one that I sometimes watch just by itself.
You can kind of get away with that with Fellowship.
You watch the prequel Star Wars, then Star Wars, and then the Rey thing all in one day.
There's 3 Star Wars movies, dude, and I watch all 3 of them. I trill it up.
There are 6.
There's 6.
There's 9.
Well, there's 8. There's the originals,
actually,
prequels, Solo, and Rogue One.
Like I said the other day, I took my daughters out to see the prequels, and we loved it. This is when they were kids. They loved it. I realized this is their Star Wars. I do enjoy the prequels to a certain effect. I also enjoyed Rogue One. I didn't mind the first one, Star Wars Fast Break or whatever the first one was.
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Sure, let's go with that. So there was some decent stuff I saw, but overall, I never have to watch the prequels. I never have to watch it. I do occasionally think I have to watch Star Wars. And when I say Star Wars, I mean Star Wars, Empire, and Return. That's it. But point being is that's how I'm referring to Crisis anymore. It's not 3 different movies. It's one, which, by the way, is it will hit a wall when you go from the end of one and it opens up and you see Batman going after the Joker. You find out it's Commissioner Gordon. You're on a different world.
I love that this is a Batman who's never had any sidekicks at this point.
Right, yeah.
He chose not to.
Yep, this is the world where he doesn't have sidekicks, and they're the sidekicks that lost a dad, so they're trying to,
Yeah, Jensen Ackles, and then I'm not sure if Damian Wayne's in there or not. If they the older one.
I think that was Tim Drake. It was Tim Drake.
Yeah. This is the thing. I haven't watched most of these movies because the after DC animated universe.
Yeah.
I've only really come in whenever there was a concept that I found interesting. Like I watched Justice League Dark. I watched Justice League Dark 2, which was the Apocalypse War, and then I'm going to eventually watch the House of Mystery one. But beyond that, I've mostly just not cared about this particular continuity. So that's why I was asking about Amazo and about how far back in the continuity does it go? Does it actually touch on the original DC animated universe? Because if you remember the original DC animated universe, you remember that Amazo was, especially towards the end there, basically their answer to the Spectre. And they never really addressed anything with him. I remember in the episode...
the Spectre is the Spectre in this.
Yeah, but in the episode where Grundy comes back of the DC animated universe, Amazo basically pieces out to try and figure out a way to cancel out Grundy's chaos magic, and we never see him again.
Well, we did in a 6-issue miniseries by DC.
Well, yeah, but...
Wait, is this Amazo from the Justice League animated series?
No.
This is Amazo from Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I loved Amazo from the Justice League series.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking. When you said they brought Amazo back, I'm like, okay, are they actually addressing the DC animated universe continuity?
No, this is once again, this is what ended up happening. Okay, this is just to get you guys, let's go through the timeline. You have the DC animated universe. Its own thing. It's its own world. And then you have what came after it, which was basically just a whole bunch of stories, each one of those represented in their own world. And then they tried to tie everything together, and it's the New 52 universe. They called the Tomorrowverse. That's its own world. And then you had after Dark Apocalypse, which is its own world, and this is what led to. So those are the chapters of animated films. And it actually mentions that in this. So the middle part of the book is chapter 2, and then you get to the chapter 2 ends with Harbinger in this killing the Monitor. It happens here. Supergirl's now the Monitor. She kills the Monitor. So the Monitor, and that allows the Anti-Monitor to become infinitely more powerful, and now they got it's seriously, we got to go after the Anti-Monitor, and that leads us to the final chapter, the issue episode number 3. Now, I didn't know it was out. I got up, I was like, yeah, I want to watch a movie, and I put on one of those sites, and there it was. So I was like, okay, it's like I don't know, it was like maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yeah, let's put it on.
Okay, so now I must ask the question. Which Dr. Fate was it that they were using here? Was it the stupid male stripper one?
No, it was Kent Nelson.
Was it Kent?
It was fucking classic.
Which one?
It wasn't. I'm going insane. This helmet is killing me. It was the guy who was actually
Kent Nelson, who actually talks in the actual thing.
The JSA one.
But I will say this. I'm probably the one that knows more about Dr. Fate than everybody here except for you. And I don't know as much as what you're looking for. So I say, watch the film. Check it out. All right. So, yeah, but he's used well. He's respected here. And that's a big point.
The reason they made Supergirl Harbinger because they didn't have the other character in here.
Who the fuck is Harbinger?
Yeah, so they went with Supergirl, who they introduced in this previous movie, Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes.
Yep.
What they're doing is they're tying in characters that they introduced in the previous movies, this new chapter since Darkseid War.
Yeah, it's kind of like Infinity War only using the characters in the movie. Some people were pissed about that. I was like, that's the characters that people are that they know.
Yeah, The reason I asked, Tevio, was because, again, assuming that they're not tying in the DC animated universe, so it's not the Oded Freyer voiced Dr. Fate, the best one in my opinion. So I was trying to figure out at what point in Dr. Fate appearances is the version we're looking for, because there was the stupid male stripper one who shall not be even dignified as much as Jared Stevens is, and then there's the JSA Golden Age one that they did a couple of years ago, and I think it's probably that one.
At the end, Fate dies. He's holding a photo, and it's Jared Stevens.
This suit we've got Kevin Conroy, Jensen Ackles is Batman's. I don't have names on all of these. Aldous Hodges, Power Ring. Alexandra Daddario is Lois Lane.
Yep.
Stanikadic.
Yep.
Matt Bomer is the Flash. Iris West is Ashley Lathrop. And mind you, you've got some names in here, but a lot of people are not. They're just it's voice castle, voice actors. Yeah, let me see if okay, here we go. Meg Donnelly is Supergirl. Yep. Jimmy Simpson, Green Arrow. Jonathan Adams is the Monitor. Zachary Quinto is Lex Luthor, and he plays a big part in this. Nice. Ike Amadi is John Jones. Jeffrey Aaron. Oh, the dude that was married to the redhead with the that was in Firefly and all those shows. God dang it. He is so fucking ugly, and he got her. Let's see. Zach Callis and Dick Grayson. Alistair Duncan is Alfred. Somebody's breathing into their...
That's Mike or Zach.
Yeah. Okay. Erica Sheely is Dr. Light did well. David Kay is the question. Holy Toledo. They did well. I'm looking for Dr. Fate, however, so let me continue. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Monitor, Batgirl, Joker, Troy Baker.
Keith Ferguson was Dr. Fate.
Keith Ferguson. There we go. All righty. And Will Friedle, Batman Beyond.
So the best Joker.
Yeah, there you go. Well, the second
is Mark Hamill, and we will have no discussion on this point.
I play Origins enough to know that Troy Baker.
He does. Yeah, I played that game a lot. Troy Baker did very well. Okay, so
outdid Mark Hamill in that one.
So now we have come part 3. They did what they needed to do to save just a small part of the universe as it happened in the book, and now they have to keep the Anti-Monitor from destroying all of the rest of the worlds. And you see him occasionally. He's able to tear the fabric of time and space to get in and destroy a planet. So occasionally you see it'll be like, holy shit, they're destroying planet 13. It's a random number. Don't read into that. And then you see a universe dies. And I got to tell you something. Some of these hit hard. There was one where and once again, we are spoiling the fuck out of this. Okay.
Yeah, this is where I came in and I saw some of the social media.
Okay. I got to tell you, if the first one hit, I was like, it says this is Earth so-and-so. And it shows the Hall of Justice. It's pure fucking 1970s animation. And it goes in and they get a trouble alert like the Super Friends always did. And you see Batman rip off and it just says crisis or something like that. And then you, of course, you get the wave. But here's what really, I was like, this is awesome. This is fucking awesome. Is because as the wave was going through the Hall of Justice, in the background you hear bum 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 bum, and it's like in D minor. It's this very somber theme. I've never heard the theme to because the Super Friends is one of the greatest TV theme songs of all time. Dun 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 dun. I mean, it's just it jazzes you up, man. And to hear it like that, it was just like, oh. And it might be because I'm 53 years old and I was exactly the age I needed to be for Super Friends.
What's great about this is right after is the more emotional for you 90s kids, the Batman animated series.
Okay, yes. because, like you said, how many last lines are we going to get from this? Is it? This is the last one, and you probably saw the meme. You probably saw the meme already on Twitter. If so, I apologize to you, man, for them taking that away from you, and I'm going to take it away from you too. In 5, 4, this is your chance to pop out, pop back in maybe about 1 minute. 3, 2, 1. They say, okay, this Earth is about to die, and you see Batman, and the lightning comes across, and it's like, oh, dude, oh fuck, we're gonna watch this one, and it's you see the Joker, and he's trying to sneak up on Batman, and Batman stops him, and he hits him, and once again, by the way, I really have to point out that when he hits him, you don't see it. Okay, because remember, in the Batman animated series, you never saw anyone get hit. You saw the punch thrown, you saw the reaction, but you never actually saw it. Actually demonstrated, right. Yeah. Now, and I may be Barbara Streisand affecting it or whatever you call it, but this is what I remembered. And so Joker's like, what's it say about you that in the last moments with the world ending, you want to spend it with me? And Kevin Conroy, as Batman, picks him up, and he says, it means that I'm going to go out the way the way I've lived my entire life. I'm getting chills as Batman, and he fucking hits him, and it shows it. The only time we get to see it, and the wave goes over him, and it's like, fuck yeah!
No, you get to see him punch a guy every intro.
No, you do not. You do not. You see this and you see it, yeah. But god damn it, it was just whoa, that was awesome. What a fucking send-off.
So what can be next after that?
I know, right?
The Justice League animated universe.
Okay, so they do touch on it then.
The Justice League Unlimited. They're on the satellite tower. We get to see Wally, you get to see Superman, all of them in Justice League in the Watchtower. You get to see John Stewart.
Isn't that the same universe as Batman the Animated Series?
No, yes, it is.
No, because that was a different Batman. Remember, their Batman has longer ears.
They treat it differently.
Okay. So you get to see their mom there. Superman's looking out, gonna fly out, and then you see Hawkgirl and John Stewart, and they look at each other and they kiss one last time as the crisis wave goes and just repeatedly erases the tower and everything, and then Teen Titans Tower.
The Glen Arcami version?
The good one, the 2004.
Yeah, the Cartoon Network
one. The 2000 one, yeah.
A really, really bad one.
So at this point, at this point, I'm like, this is the new DC erasing all the good stuff they've done.
No. Now remember, by the way, at the end, let me solve this because I saw that comment. Jay even said us, and no. Okay, so even in Crisis, the source material. What it is they brought everything together to make one. It's not that they got rid of it; they brought it all together. So it's going to be a little bit this, a little bit of that.
So my point is that the Earths are already gone. I don't think they're going to be combined into what's left of the worlds.
Tevia, I believe the reason you didn't see any of the Teen Titans dying is because they were kids, and that might have been one step too far. So just showing the type. You got the message.
They just showed the tower. Jump City. I
think that I think it would have come off a lot different had they actually killed children.
Hallelujah, they're gone.
Yeah.
Well, that would be Teen Titans Go for me. Although that freaking Go to the movies.
That's not the Glen Arcami version, dude. That's the Teen Titans Go version that deserves.
One at a time,
basically, the popularity of that show bled into like how we complain about the MCU bleeding into the comics itself. Mm-hmm. That show bled into the comics itself, and after that, like Raven, Starfire, they have been mischaracterized as hell by modern writers.
So,
well, that's the writer's fault. That's not Glen Arcami's Teen Titans' fault. So enough.
Guys. Right. So moving on, after the Anti-Monitor or the Monitor was killed, by Supergirl. They went into like this limbo area. So that's what's going on. And somehow the Anti-Monitor was ripping open the dimensions saying peekaboo. And then
that's what we just talked about.
Yeah. So to summarize real quickly. So they're doing all this. And it was just messed up because Lex Luthor, we know that he's doing something on Earth 10, and he was like interrogating Psycho Pirate, and Lois Lane's like, how are they doing this? She's like, fucking Luthor. He made a deal, didn't she? He's like,
oh, you forgot it. We skipped over one before we get to this. We skipped over one very important thing. Yeah. John Jones in this, they had a planet, they had a world where John Jones was running Warworld, which I believe was in the movie, the Warworld movie.
Yes.
So Martian Manhunter's running Warworld, and at one point in time, Warworld is going up against the Anti-Monitor, and they realize that two things. One, they need something very powerful, and they send Supergirl out into the sun. Well, actually, they send Superman.
Superman's going to go there, but Supergirl,
just like in the comics, issue number 12 or number 11, I think it was.
She flies out, and he's like, no. And he's like,
no, 7.
And Captain Adam says, no, she already went. Too late. We need you. And so at this point, there's still 2 Superman at this point.
Yeah.
There's the Krypton New 52 version with the belt, and then there's the one with the trunks, the pre-crisis one, who's at this point still dating Stana Katic, Wonder Woman. Yep. I'm like, I like Lois, but Wonder Woman, Stana Katic, you can trade up.
They bring that up. His Lois died, and he's dating Wonder Woman, but he was like, yeah, she's a Band-Aid, and so because he kept asking questions about the other Lois.
It's so great because like they realize this, it's very traumatic. They figured, well, there's multiple suns. This thing hates light, so they use that. Basically, they need Warworld basically to fire a hole through there, basically, and the armor of this thing. And she flies in there. She explodes. We get this really traumatic scene.
Okay, yes, let's build it up. I'm sorry, but we got to build this up. Okay, so obviously we all know Christ's Son. We did the cover rating, and it was the hottest cover. It's one of the greatest images in comic book history. I don't know if this has the
Superboy Prime was not involved in this because he's not part of the DC animated universe.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, absolutely not. I love Tevia, are you? You know what? You're pissing me off. Okay, because it's obvious that you went into this thing expecting this
thing again.
Okay, and since it wasn't this, you were like, "Yeah, fuck that." You know what? And the thing is you didn't understand that this was dealing with the animated universe. Did you have these? I bet you're the same thing when it went to the end game. When you were watching the movies, and you're like, "Where's him? Where's Warlock? He should be here." No, he wasn't introduced in the beginning, therefore he's not going to be here now. Okay, it's the same shit. The reason why they didn't have Superboy Prime is because he wasn't in the fucking animated series. Well, I don't think. Why did they make him? But you know what? It's not the fucking same. Sometimes movies are different than the books. Watch Jurassic Park. You love Jurassic Park? It ain't fucking anything like the movie. Both are good.
You're more than willing to point. You're more than welcome to point out ways in which the changes make it worse, if they make it worse. But you actually have to describe why it's bad for this character not to be here.
I don't want to see a fucking comment anymore. Unless you have an intelligent thing to say that actually has to go and do with what we're watching. I swear to gosh. It's like, can you actually explain why Superboy Prime would be in this story if he wasn't in the animated movies? Go. Do that. But there you go. Okay, so anywho, building up. We do know what they're going to do is they want to blast a hole into the Monitor, and then, of course, they deal with them that way. The Anti-Monitor, excuse me. And we get that iconic image. They finally did. Supergirl did her thing, and Superman flies out and he grabs her, and we get the walk. And it is, we get this scene right here where Superman shows up and he walks Supergirl through. And then finally, and it was kind of something because I was watching this, and he's walking through here. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's a long shot. We don't need a long shot. We want the shot. We want cover to number 7.
Yep.
And then we want, oh my God. And then I noticed everybody's lining up. Everybody's kind of lining up in the background. And then finally, boom, we got it. But what's more is we hear it. I thought that for what they could do, as best as they could do, this scene hit fucking hard. This was just done.
Oh, we also got
well.
Earth 2 also got wiped out before this with the JSA.
Yeah,
wiped out.
I was about to ask if they had the JSA.
The JSA they get wiped out at the last moment. Black Canary over there says to Dinah, he's like, I'm proud of you, I love you, and then she dies. And so basically, she just lost her mother. We also get the Earth, Oliver from, I guess he's from Earth 2. I'm not sure what Earth he's from, but he's like starts flirting with Canary.
Yeah, right away. He's like, hey, you're the Black Canary's daughter. Hey, how you doing?
He's like, because there's a scene where these dinosaurs came through the portal, because they're on an unstable place between time and space, limbo. So everything, the present is colliding with
just
the
like
past.
in the book.
Yes, the dinosaurs come through, and basically Green Arrow was teaming up with Black Canary, and he's like, "Wait, your dinosaurs are hitting each other." But what's great about this is that he's like, he's like, "Oh, look at these fat cats. Should we even save them?" He's like, "You're a billionaire." Yeah, good point. but I love this. And then next thing you know, we get this plane comes through. There's like this World War II P-52 plane.
Enemy Ace.
Well, yeah, it comes flying through, and you're like, "What is this?" And then you're followed by a Jeep, and I'm thinking, like, "Is this Sergeant Fury?" Or not Fury, but Sergeant Rock.
Rock.
I was just like, "You got army guys, you got dinosaurs."
It was Captain.
We got fishnets.
It was Captain Savage, Sergeant Rock, and I forgot the other one, but they called themselves the Losers because they wanted to throw that in there as well.
Yeah, so I love this whole scene that's going around with this, and they team up, and then he's like, "We should stay along, but we've been fighting or I guess rounding up these dinosaurs." So the dinosaurs go back. Wonder Woman freaking tames a T-Rex, makes it her like your freaking steed.
Yeah.
It was just fun.
The dinosaurs, by the way, are from I think it was our fighting forces. It might have been our army at war, but I think it was our fighting forces. There's a story called The War That Time Forgot. And that's where the dinosaurs are coming from. It was I want to say New Frontier. They were really in New Frontier. Anyway.
So also Commandy's there. He's like, his world gets wiped out. It was a fucked up world anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, Commandy.
Yeah, he was that was something. It really is. When you watch this thing and the way it gets all tied up, and you have you realize that Constantine, he's the magician in this one.
Batman says he remembers something, and he's an old guy. And John's like, "This was an old guy," and he's like, "Wait, I remember seeing this old guy something. He remembers something," and he basically is like, he goes to doctor. I need to go see a doctor. You have to wait because he gets shot by these Nazis who broke into Gotham basically armory. They was Nazi soldiers. One did the Bane thing, and then they had all the weapon and everything. So, but Batman gets up getting injured, so he wakes up in back at the main base where the monitors places and satellite everything, and he's just Bruce Wayne. He's like, "Fuck, where am I?" He's like, so he quicks to the shadows. Vixen walks. He's like, "I can see in the dark, dumbass." Mr. Wayne. She gives us costume stuff. He's like, "I need to see a doctor." He's like, because he actually wasn't Vixen. Sorry, it was the new Midnight, Dr. Midnight. She had retired a long time ago, and he's like, "I need to see a doctor." He's like, "Excuse me, I'm not good enough. I need to see a good doctor." Like basically like a magician doctor.
No, yeah, he says a different. I have a guy in mind, and they go to Dr. Fate. Yeah, and
they probe his mind and everything, and then they're like, all of a sudden he's like, "That was Barry. What was Barry on this?" He says, "Go to the beginning," and that's when they start learning about the Constantine. They go to basically the Western world, and they find Constantine's in. He's in a saloon, just getting drunk. And it's just funny when the
multiverse may be ending, but John Constantine is gonna find a drink somewhere.
It's revealed that Constantine is from the very beginning of all this. He doesn't remember anything. He barely remembers his name sometimes. He's drinking just forget whatever he can because he's traumatized. But he doesn't know why. And they come in there. These guys start fighting him. Dr. Fates, he's like, no more guns. You guys can all have. What do you give my beers?
He goes, the drinks are on me, and he changes all the guns to.
So we get this Western fight saloon. At the end of this, they bring Constantine back. Constantine's like, I don't know what's going on, but I remember bits and pieces. Basically, Fate sends Batman into Constantine's mind, memories to try to figure out, and they follow a path back. So basically, it starts. He remembers basically that Barry was on after the apocalypse thing, where Constantine tells Barry, "Go fix this, go reset this," and then we get that tie in there, and then we see Barry run, and then he's got some kind of spell on his back. Like Barry doesn't know there, but he's basically turned him into basically death. Anything that comes near him dies.
He gave Barry, it's almost like a magic spell. It's a death spell that all he has to do is touch people and they go. But we come to find out they figure, if you guys have watched Justice League Dark Apocalypse, the world is destroyed. And so Constantine sends Flash to go back in time to kill Darkseid so he couldn't do this.
Because he found out there's one there's one part moment there where he can kill Darkseid is when he's an infant.
When he's a baby, because he is he's a nexus in time. He's a fixed point.
Yeah.
He has to exist in every universe. And so they get there, and Barry doesn't want to kill him because he's Barry. He's not going to kill him.
He can't do it. So, but it's just too late. He just presence being there. He turns around, leaves. You see the blood coming out. He basically so that's what it was like. So that's what caused the rip in the multiverse. And so remember they killed the Antimatter? Well, they didn't. There's actually multiple. They learned that basically the universe is trying to heal itself and the Antimatter is the antibody.
Which this is where I thought about it. So wait a second. So what you're saying is the universe is trying to heal itself. It got broken up into the multiverse because of what Constantine did. Now, this is actually the same origin as Pariah in the book. Pariah,
way to go, John. Screwing up the multiverse again.
Pariah alerted the Anti-Monitor to all the universes, and they decided they were going to destroy them all. And therefore, he had to watch them all die. And Constantine has taken kind of on that role. And, wait. What was I talking about?
So the multiverse, but it leads to the point there's so many Earths being created, it becomes infinite Earths, and the universe cannot keep up with that. So the antibodies were created to destroy this, and they want to purge everything, start over from the beginning.
Yeah. So it was It was here I realized. Wait a second. Are we rooting for the bad guys? I mean, if the universe is trying to repair itself, the natural order of things is trying to repair itself, then the people stopping that reparation
are in fact the bad guys because
and the Anti-Monitor all of a sudden becomes, wait a second, dude. Yeah, the Anti-Monitor all of a sudden becomes the good guy because he's trying to repair.
He's trying to balance everything.
And the great thing about this is that the Spectre finally shows his freaking face, and Conti's bugger off.
Well, yes, because
thank you for the $3.33 super chat from Summoner saying, "There you have it." Well, thank you. There you go.
All right, we have another. So Constantine sees Spectre, and they come to the conclusions like, well, there was a thing back. I forget who brought up the idea, but there was something that we could basically Legion of Superheroes is a movie that what Kara fought against. Basically, it's a wish maker.
And the miracle machine, by the way.
Yes.
Which in the comics, the miracle machine was created by Brainiac 5. And it was going to destroy the universe, as things in the Legion of Superheroes have to do. So they didn't have anybody who could defeat this miracle machine because it would protect itself, except Matter Eater Lad. So he sat there and he actually ate the miracle machine, and that actually caused him to go crazy. So you kind of lost Matter Eater Lad every time. He would be in the hospital with the universe in his eyes.
But this thing, they actually, it was hidden in a pocket universe and nobody could ever find it, but they're using Shadow Lass, who at this point, she's like, I'm going to go across the street. And like, John's like, or not John, but John Jones. He's like, we're already there. You already did it. We already brought it back. He's like, basically, using his own ability, helped her locate it, bring it back. And then they're like, well, if they realize it's gonna need a sacrifice, and then like Superman's like, well, it should be me, and it's like, I'll do it, and Lois and him kind of say their goodbyes, and I love how Lois is like, you're just loading. It's like, hey, if the solution is saving the world is killing a Kryptonian, fuck, or if it's kryptonite, I got a shit ton of that too as well. I can't use, so Superman's gonna do it, because like then they're like, because Constantine's also said, he's like, oh, I'll do it because I caused this mess. I'll do it, and it wouldn't work if you cast a spell. Finally,
because John is a masochist, that's how he did.
So finally, we get Wonder Woman. She says it requires an immortal. So I'm immortal. Her and Superman, they're at their last kind of like goodbye thing. So this is the older Superman, and so she does this. She puts it in there, and it creates a new universe where it combines everything. So when they go in there, everyone's going to be combined into one universe, because like they said, there's infinite, but why don't we just create one from everybody to save the Earths into one thing? Which
is what happened at the end of the source material. One of the things I love about this, now Tevi, yes, they didn't have all the characters and they didn't go perfectly, but the emotional beats from the book are in the trilogy. The plot points are in the trilogy. It's done with different characters. It's done as best they can with the time and with the characters that they had. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I loved. They did this book very well with the characters they had in the animated series.
I love, because at the end you're like, okay, everybody's going through. Spectre's there, and then he's like, okay, you guys going through? Question's like, I don't trust this. I ain't going. So Question says,
he said, he actually he said that he refused. It was principle of the thing.
It's a lie.
It's a fake world. It's not the real thing. Therefore, I reject it on principle. And he turns and he walks away.
Based Question as always, but never mind.
So John's getting ready to go to the portal, then he changes his mind. He says, you know what? I don't deserve this.
So it makes me wonder, though. I mean,
Spectre Constantine stay behind with the Question.
Now the Spectre's going to be there. The Spectre is going to be there because he's God's vengeance. So he's in
wrath on Earth. Yeah.
But does that mean going forward with the animated movies, we're not going to get Constantine, or what? I can't see that happening.
I assume. For practical, Matt Ryan wants to be done with this character reasons. They're probably not going to.
Well, they might bring him back as somebody with a different voice and such. So but
if they do that, the internet will riot. So that's
I don't think so.
It's probably the end of
John. One at a time.
Evil Black Cat.
Yeah, I think they're going to put a hiatus. What I've heard, they're going to put a hiatus on the animated movies from. Normal universe, and the animated movies we're gonna get are ones that tie into the James Gunn universe, like the DC universe.
I heard that. I'm not a big fan of it because I want absolute freedom. I can't wait for Creature Commandos, but I want absolute freedom with the animated shows. The
problem is that it's been a loss maker recently, because the Tomorrowverse, as in this universe, has been a huge loss maker, so they are trying to distance themselves from that.
You take it away from the classic stories everybody loves. You put it with the New 52. Nobody gives a fuck about. It's going to happen.
The New 52 was popular. This version, the Tomorrowverse, like Superman was alright. The Long Halloween was good, but the other ones, they didn't make as much as the previous universe was making. So they're like.
More to the point, I will give James Gunn this. It is smart for them to actually make everything, and I mean everything, in the same universe, because that's been the mistake that even Marvel has been falling into lately, where people just don't know where things fit continuity-wise anymore. And it does make logical sense if they're trying to make this universe work, for it to be now everything is in line, which means that the animated stuff and the non-animated stuff is going to be in line with each other, so people can actually follow what the fuck is going on.
All right, Zach, we have a request. What do you think?
I haven't seen anything yet. I saw. I remember some of the first movie. I haven't seen 2. Certainly haven't seen 3 yet. I do want to sit down and watch them all.
Are we selling it to you, or is it?
Yeah, you are selling parts of it for sure. I am interested in seeing it based off some of the scenes that y'all are talking about. One of my biggest concerns going into this, and is that because I like when you have characters evenly balanced on screen. It seems like you've got some characters that are obviously going to get more screen time than others, but then it seems like for a large part, like a lot of characters are there for cameos and winks and nods and background. Like you've got the big ones, right? But then you've got like the side characters, which are good. But my biggest concern was that, okay, all of these characters, but we're only going to focus on like 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, so Barry, the important Flash, was there in the main story while Wally was just there to die. Like he should be.
No. It should be the other way around.
I will say this. I will say this.
Wally wasn't in this movie. Or any of these movies.
Oh,
I do like the idea. I do like the idea that, I mean, James Gunn's a geek, and he is bringing out the Creature Commandos. I would love it if the movies can focus on the big guys, the Trinity, and Flash, so forth and so on. The Justice League characters, basically. That's great, but can we get animated series of like Blue and Gold? Can we get the animated series of Dr. Fate and all the smaller characters and such?
Blue and Gold is getting a live action TV show, I believe.
Fine, but point being is, I would like to see the TV stuff focus on the side characters.
At least the gold one. I don't know about Blue, but they talk about
as far as
they're setting up Blue and Gold.
No,
they are.
Oh, okay.
That is confirmed.
Listen to me. As far as Blue and Gold and all that stuff, the rumors are they're casting the stupid guy from Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the fire creator guy, is Booster Gold.
Yeah, but James Gunn has come out against that and said that
it's not okay, because, like I said,
the Indian dude?
I would rather just have a Justice League International animated series.
Yeah. Let's bring up all the characters and such.
To answer your question, yeah, the Indian guy from Eternals and Ghostbusters.
Right. What?
That's who
because normally that
that's been disproven.
Yeah.
Good.
Like that was a rumor, but I think they kiboshed it.
Well, it was some Twitter account, DC updates or something. Like they normally post official stuff, and they posted this as an official thing, not a rumor.
Site. That's a fan speculation.
Oh, was it a fan site? Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of stuff is still in the planning phases. Like, for example, the stupid subtitle of Superman Legacy is no more. Like, they're just going to call it a Superman movie, which why that wasn't option A, I don't know, but at least they got the right answer in the end. So,
speaking of which, Superman, October 17th, the final season of Superman and Lois, we're getting the death and return of Superman. For those who remember, he went against the big guy, Doomsday. Holy crap, was that? I just watched it again.
Such a great show.
That's actually funny because when Dan Mora moves over to Superman in October, that's the story that Josh Williamson is writing as a Doomsday story.
Yeah, there was one thing in live action, but I mean, like in the comic book form, it's like, what new can you do with that? I mean, I already have the epic story with Doomsday.
I'm sure Josh Williamson has something.
But Dan Jurgens did something that there was a tribute to that, the actual writer and stuff of that crap. But
I realized that we could only have one writer write good stories for some characters.
Well, we gotta have good writers writing the stories and actually.
Personally, I thought Doomsday should have been a one-off anyway. But that's just my opinion. You guys like to,
we have Darkseid. What do we need Doomsday for?
To punch the fuck out of Darkseid, which happens in the Hunter Prey storyline. So.
To make sure that when David Cornsweet wants to leave the role, there's an excuse for him to leave the role.
There you go.
Basically.
But anyway, getting back, I do highly recommend the Crisis Trilogy. If it wasn't your cup of tea, obviously it wasn't your cup of tea. But I thought it was excellent. It was I truly believe the best they could have done with the animated characters. They're not doing the book because we're not interested. Nobody. Now, the one thing though, I wouldn't have minded them doing it because this this was the introduction I had to a lot of the DC characters.
It's just
what keeps you from reading this. I actually read it and it was like, holy shit, I want to find out who this character is. So I went out and found out who everybody was.
So, and I agree with this, because the reason I'm not going with the book because is that they never introduced those characters. Same like the MCU really did a lot of movies towards the later second and third parts. You're like, where is this? Why is this person here? Because they didn't have all the characters.
Well, if you read Infinity War,
they did what they had, and they actually did really well. Like I said, I didn't care for the new style animation of the newer movies when they started the New 52 stuff. I prefer the original, the Trunks look. Every time I saw this Superman that was in there with the belt, he looked like John compared to the actual pre-crisis.
Yeah, he was really young.
Who was ripped and he had the trunks on. He just like he didn't have the hair thing, but it was like still, it was like this was Superman. This was like, oh my gosh, stop, Kara.
He was definitely a lot younger than the regular Superman.
And I don't know. It's like I said, I would like to have a Booster Gold just movie. We never got one.
Well, one of the big tragedies I heard about, I was listening to Kevin Smith. He was on his one of his podcasts, and he was talking about a project that he was hired to work on. They were going to make, you remember the movie that came out a little bit ago, House of Mystery, and it had a whole bunch of different stories. Well, they were going to do House of Mystery as a series for HBO. So every week you would get a different character, or maybe, it'd be a 2-episode kind of thing. But when I heard about that, I forgot the character he said he was hired to write or something, but it wasn't Superman, it wasn't Batman, it wasn't Wonder Woman. They were working on the smaller characters and such. And when I heard about that, I thought, wow, I want that. I want to see that. I think that would be awesome, because I love the Showcase Presents that are added to the DVDs. For the most part, they've all been great. We got the Jonah Hex, one of the best Jonah Hex things I've ever seen. Spectre was awesome. Spectre
was good. The Death one was really good. Definitely the Endless one.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of deaths, if you haven't found out recently, Bob Newhart died.
Yeah, he died today.
And Lou Dobbs.
94.
Yeah. 94 years old, man. It's not. I can't say it's unexpected, because when I saw him on Big Bang Theory, I thought, wow.
Yeah.
But it's just it was something. It was something. I would have loved to have gotten that series though, but there you go. Let's see.
And you might still end up getting one in the new, Gunverse continuity. Who knows? Like I say, I think the ideas are slowly evolving to be more cohesive than they were when they were first announced. So who knows? Maybe we will get another Dr. Fate, please, or JSA or something along those lines at some point. Still kind of wish that they had kept Black Adam as canon, so we could have gotten more with the version that was played by Pierce Brosnan. But
that was such a good Dr. Fate.
No, they did my boy right in Black Adam. They might have screwed up everything else in that movie, but they didn't. But
looking back
even
on
if
it,
they
did Hawkman pretty good too. I like how I like the guy who played Hawkman.
Yeah,
there's a lot to recommend Black Adam, and that's why I kind of am mad that they didn't stay with the soft reboot. They went with the harder reboot in the James Gunn-verse, especially because when the James Gunn-verse was first announced, a lot of it was haphazard, throwing things at the wall to see what sticks things. They appear to be finally getting the feet underneath them on some level, but I still kind of hope that at some point we will get a JSA movie set up, and please, a Dr. Fate solo trilogy would be good. But I will be beating that drum until my heart stops beating, probably.
All right, RDV.
I think they want to do characters that people care about.
I'm just going to start muting people. I don't give a shit anymore.
No. RDV was raising his hand. What were you? I
was just saying, it's fine. I do love the fact that you guys are talking about the Dr. Fate, the actor that played him, Pierce Brosnan. If we can't give him live action with James Gunn, just give me him in the voice acting. Let him do the voice acting for him as well.
See, but that's I disagree. I disagree with you on the point that we've gotten several generations worth of really good animated content from DC. I want to see it translated to live action finally, please.
If they do that, sure, but it seems like that's not the case. They're erasing everything else. So if I can't get in there, give me voice acting. Give me. I don't care. I don't want everything to be catered to James Gunn's verse for animated stuff. I want to get some more.
It's going to be. We don't get a vote on that. They've already come out and said it's all going to be in canon with James Gunn's verse.
But this is just the opinion. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm going to watch Creature Commandos with an open mind. You know, and I'm actively. Like this is one of the few things I'm actively excited about. What were you saying, Zach?
I said Creature Commandos looks like fun.
Yeah, and I love the. I've got the trade with all the weird War Tales issues up here.
Give me a Sergeant Rock animated series.
Thank you. Yes, you know I'd be into that. Okay.